Hey guys, Andre here. I'm also known as DevChart on Twitter. Few people were asking me what kind of alerts I like to use for chart alerts, and I just wanted to do a quick demo of some of the alerts that I'm using and why I'm using them. So let's quickly take a look. Okay, first thing that I think you need to take a look at is the 24-hour filter. And one of the things that you need to know is that I personally think that you should not bother with some of the really low volume shitcoins for multiple reasons. One of the reason is that it has really low liquidity, so depending on the stack that you're playing with, you might have some issues when you attempt to sell later. And one of the bigger issue is that for the past few months we've been noticing a lot of pump and dump groups that have been taking advantage of these coins. So they will ask their members, to just like fill their bags with some of those low volume shit coins, and then they will go on Twitter and to start to shill those coins, so that those newbies will go and buy those coins, and they will just end up dumping on them. And we've noticed it like with a lot of pretty big account, like some pretty big names on Twitter. So you gotta be careful, just because someone with a lot of followers actually tweets about a coin doesn't mean that he has your best interest at heart. So in order to kind of avoid that, I like to use at least 100 BTC 24-hour volume threshold when I'm trading, with like a small stack, like 10k USDT or less. If you're using a pretty large stack, I would advise you to use either 500 BTC or even 1000 BTC at minimum. For the USDT pairs, like I said, I don't really trade those, but in some of the rare cases that I trade them, I use a 500,000 USDT. So yeah, so let's just put 100 and gonna update. And now let's take a look at some of the indicators and the pairs and the time frames that I like to use. So, like I previously mentioned, I like to use it to only trade BTC pairs. But if you want to trade, like specific coins, you can just enter it and choose it here. For the time frames, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of chart alert users are making is that they select all the time frames and all the indicators, and then they end up receiving a lot of alerts. So one of the things that you need to understand is that chart alerts is just an automated system. It will do exactly what you ask it to do. So if you select the 15-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, and you choose all the indicators, it will send you an alert every time like that specific criteria happens. So you might end up receiving a lot of alerts. This is not a bug. This is exactly, it is working exactly as designed. It's not an artificial intelligence. It just does exactly what you tell it to do. So you gotta be careful, and you gotta make sure that you actually use it with your specific strategy, and also make sure that you're using some time frames that will be useful for you, so that you don't end up being spammed, and you can take the best advantage of this tool. So I personally only trade the 4 hour and the daily. So let me set up the 4 hour alerts first. So for the 4 hour, I do not use any of the EMA crosses. I also don't use the price bounce on EMAs and such for the 4 hour. I like to use the RSI oversold, so I'm gonna add that. I don't use the volume burst, and since I'm mostly trading on Binance, I like to use the price approaching support, so that I know which coins that I can, you know, that are approaching some major support and that I can long. So I'm gonna add the price approaching support. I also like to use the price breakout confirm. That will tell me if a coin is actually breaking out of the major resistance. And like I said, if you look at the if you go and watch the tutorial about the price breakout, you will see that I like to wait for the price to break out and then retest that support that was a previous resistance, and just choose an entry from there. And also, I like to use the RSI divergences. We've been noticing that it's been really powerful on the 4-hour and the daily, so I like to use those, both the bullish and the bearish divergence. And for the candlestick reversal, I like to use the hammer, the inverted hammer, and I guess I can use the hanging man. But so those will be extremely rare, so you might not receive, like, you might only receive just a few alerts every now and then. It's like it's not happening that often, so just so you know. So this is it for the alerts. Oh yeah, and I also forgot for the 4-hour. EMA, so price bounce. I also like to use the price bounce and close above the 200 EMA support. This is just a part of a strategy that I use. I like to buy the 200 EMA support on the 4-hour, only if the coin is trending actually. So I'm not saying that this is probably the best EMA to use, but this is just something that I like to buy. So let me add that. And now let's look at the daily. Okay, so on the daily, I like to use the price bounce and close above the EMA support, 200 EMA support. I like to use price bounce and close above the 100 SMA support and the 200 SMA support. So these on the daily, I've just noticed, like usually when the coin kind of increased a lot and then retraced to one of these support levels, there usually is a pretty nice reaction to it, and it will also depend on other factors, but usually I like to take a look at when I receive an alert for these coins. And okay, so on top of that, I will add the price breakout and the RSI divergences, and the same, the hammer, hanging man, and the inverted hammer. And I also once again I forgot about the price approaching support on the daily. But yeah, so these are mostly all the indicators that I use. I don't use any other ones. I have a few friends that actually use completely different indicators, and it works well for them. So this is just my personal preference, and that's how I like to trade. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you want to give it a try, just try to use the same ones. I'm gonna post the video so you can take a look and see if this strategy actually is useful to you. And that's it. Thank you.